This is a broadcast of SmallCapVoice.com, a financial communications and investor relations firm. SmallCapVoice.com receives payment for investor relations and financial consulting services that it provides to its clients. You should assume that officers, directors, and employees of SmallCapVoice.com or financial analysts mentioned and their families hold a position and intend to trade in these securities for their own accounts. This is not an offer or recommendation to buy or sell securities. Information in this broadcast is presented solely for informative purposes and is not intended to be, nor should it be construed as, investment advice. As in all investments, an investment in the featured company carries an investment risk. Listeners should review the company thoroughly with a registered investment advisor or registered stockbroker. This broadcast does not purport to be a complete study of the featured company or other companies mentioned. Information used and statements of fact have been obtained from the featured company and other sources but not verified nor guaranteed by SmallCapVoice.com as to completeness or accuracy. Such information is subject to change without notice.
You're wired in. SmallCapVoice.com. Following is a presentation of SmallCapVoice.com, today's leader in investor relations, capital formation, and retail support. Now, with your online business briefing, SmallCapVoice.com's Stuart T. Smith.
Welcome one, welcome all for joining us here today at SmallCapVoice.com, where we shine a spotlight on some of the smartest plays in the small and micro cap market. And as you just heard, I'm your host, Stuart Smith. Now, we've got a couple of guests today. You know we like having this format where we speak to multiple companies at once. And today, we're joined by CannaVest Corp and U.S. Hemp Oil's Vice President of Product Development, Mr. Christopher Boucher, as well as HempMedsPX's Vice President of Communications, Charles Vest. Let's say hello to Christopher Boucher first. Christopher, thank you so much for taking time to speak with us.
Well, Stuart, it's a pleasure being here today. I'm really excited.
Well, thank you so much, Christopher. And Charles, how are you today?
I am doing wonderful, and it's also a pleasure for myself to be here.
Great, gentlemen. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedules. And listeners, if you read the press wires for medical marijuana, that ticker symbol MJNA, or CannaVest Corp, that ticker symbol CANV, you can see there is a lot going on with these companies. And you'd have to be hiding under a rock right now to not understand the medical marijuana market, as well as the recreational marijuana market here in the United States is a lightning rod of both controversy and conversation. These companies have all enjoyed a tremendous run over the past month here in 2014 in their stock price, and we're very thankful to have them here on the show. Well, let's start with some of the recent news. I want to go ahead and talk to you first, Charles Vest. Let's talk about this. Medical Marijuana Incorporated's HempMedsPX represents High Times Medical Cannabis Cup Award winner for highest hemp cannabidiol CBD concentrate. The listeners, you can follow along by using this press release February 10th, and it came out from MJNA. Charles, obviously a tremendous validation for what you and the company are doing there. Let's talk a little bit about this.
Well, it is a real honor for us as a company that represents the CannaVest oil, and as a representative, we are the sponsor of the event in a large way, and we also have an opportunity to showcase the CBD pure oil that we have, and this is a three-peat for us that we have been able to have the highest concentration of CBD, this hemp oil, and it's a CBD concentrate award, and so this is a coveted CBD concentrate award, and yes, we have now won it 3 times in a row.
Well, again, a big validation for what you and the companies are doing there. Now, let's talk a little bit about the demand and the market for this oil. Last year, we had a reversal by Mr. Sanjay Gupta, very well respected, as we can see, and very closely followed man, commentator for CNN, as well as multiple other news networks. Now, he made a reversal on a longstanding opinion that he felt like there was no medicinal benefit, if I'm correct in saying that, to medical marijuana. Then he made a reversal saying, you know what, I'm wrong. And since then, we've seen the market and public sentiment react more favorably towards these companies. Tell me about it specifically as it relates to the demand for the oil. Go ahead, Charles.
Well, the show came as a surprise to us, and afterwards, we just simply felt more validated. CBD has become something on the mainstream of the media, and Dr. Sanjay Gupta, of course, capitalized on the value of CBD, changing his opinion on cannabis, especially because of the results that have happened as a young girl, which was seizing 300 times. Their seizures were down to less than 4. And so with those type of stories, that increased the demand for CBD in all cases, from a dietary supplement to more major debilitating situations. The world was basically informed that CBD is something that they want to look into. A lot of research happened after that, and our sales really went through the roof on CBD. We've known about the value of CBD for a long time, and Chris can allude to that as well, but it was just a very strong validation of all the hard work that we all have put together here at HempMedsPX and also at CannaVest, and we couldn't be more thrilled.
Well, you're right. Let's talk to Chris. Chris, a lot of headlines that really bring you and your company into the forefront. I'm going to start off with one. February 10th, President Obama signs federal legislation removing barriers for U.S. industrial hemp cultivation. CannaVest Corp and U.S. hemp oil poised to lead resurgence of domestic industrial hemp industry. So in addition to these oils that we're talking about, let's talk about the hemp market. Tell me a little bit as you see the history of hemp, and then what I'd like to follow up with you, Chris, is talking about what's next for the hemp markets. But Chris, if you would, kind of give us the history and background of the hemp markets here in the United States.
Yes, it's pretty exciting. And just with the headline you just read, I've waited 25 years for this day, working every day to get industrial hemp legal. When you go back to the history of hemp, I'm sure many people realize that George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, some of the greatest hemp farmers America's ever had, these were our forefathers. They set the stage for us. Somehow in the 1920s and 1930s, they demonized hemp. They called it a different name, marijuana. And they misled the public. When they were outlawing hemp, they didn't even know they were outlawing hemp. World War II was the last time Americans grew hemp. Executive order by the president, and they grew a couple 100,000 acres. Well, when you bring it all the way up to current date here, last Friday I think history was made. It opened the door for some of the largest agricultural economic boom to hit this country. It's going to take a few years to ramp up. And here at CannaVest, we are investing in the infrastructure. Matter of fact, we are planning on growing hemp in California and Colorado. This year, we're going to have plants in the ground this year. We'll be harvesting this year. We'll be processing, turning hemp seed into hemp gold, I like to say. No, we'll be making oil, protein powder, the fibers. We have a whole division, U.S. hemp oil, which is part of CannaVest, that will build this infrastructure. CannaVest will lead the way to hemp agriculture in America.
Well, Chris, almost as if you guys knew it was coming, just before that, issued Wednesday, February 5th, Phytosphere Systems, a CannaVest Corp subsidiary, significantly increased hemp oil production for 2014. So it's like you were just waiting in the wings for this.
Yeah, we've been in Europe. We grow thousands and thousands of acres in Europe, and we work with some of the best industrial hemp farmers, great people, great farmers. At the end of the day, we got to bring it home. We got to create jobs here in the United States. And by investing in these rural communities, building hemp processing plants, we can hire people. We can create a new commodity. Matter of fact, I think it's going to be the next new billion-dollar crop.
Well, Chris, and there's a quote from you that came out February 11th, and I think this is an important piece of information for the investors to understand how it's going to affect the bottom line for the companies here in the United States. You're going to be able to save a lot of money because of this, right, Chris?
That's a great question, Stuart. We want to bring it home. We want to grow the hemp here. That way we can bring the price of CBD hemp oil down. Right now in Europe, the money we've invested on the infrastructure, the quality control, all the measurements that we put in place to bring this oil here. At the end of the day, there's been a lot of money invested, but once we start growing here, we can bring the price down, and our goal is to get it down to as a normal commodity, like sugar, salt. It needs to come down in price so people can buy it, purchase it, and continue to use it in their daily life.
Well, listeners, I want to point out in this press release who exactly we're talking to. Chris Boucher is an American pioneer of the hemp industry. As he pointed out, he waited 25 years for this news. So, Chris, I want to ask you a follow-up question then. What are some of the other markets? And this kind of goes back to what you said about World War II and our founding fathers, why they used this plant. Why they demonized it, to me, seems like the cotton industry would have demonized it, because hemp seems to be, in all facets, a superior product. I don't know if I'm going out on a limb or not by saying that, but what do you think some of the markets will be for hemp in the future? Definitely
the number one market is going to be food, protein powder, medicine. Now we can get into the fibers. The skin of the hemp plant has some of the strongest, longest natural bast fibers known to man in the vegetable kingdom. The automobile industry, all the door panels, the molds are all currently using hemp. BMW uses it, Mercedes, Ford, but they're buying it from the Canadians. They're buying it from the Europeans, importing it into the United States. So if we can tap into that supply chain, it's $1 billion potential. And I don't say that lightly. In 1937, they called it the new $1 billion crop. Mechanical engineering, 1938, called it the most useful crop known to mankind. So history repeats itself, and I think they've, kind of blocked it from happening the last 60 to 70 years, and the door's open now. As of last Friday, the door's open. The Canadians, the Europeans, the Chinese are probably going to get wired in a couple of years, because Americans can ramp up, and we can build the infrastructure, and we can compete in this global hemp economy. And that's what CannaVest is focused on, is competing in this global economy and supplying raw hemp materials into the supply chain. Well, there's going to be other markets as well. Let's kick it back to Charles Vest, once again, VP of Communications for HempMedsPX, and let's dial down into an important press release that came out January 30th. Medical Marijuana's Incorporated's HempMedsPX signs a 2-year agreement with Home-Based Business Organization. The world's first industrial hemp-based cannabidiol CBD home-based business product offering includes anti-aging beauty and vapor lines supplied by HempMedsPX. Now there it is, anti-aging beauty. That may not be a market that any of us would think about. Charles, tell us a little bit more about this press release and what you'll be doing there.
It's very exciting for us, Stuart. And the reason why this is so exciting is that anti-aging is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and the problem with a lot of the products that are out there is that there are chemicals and things that are bad for you. It's very important here at HempMedsPX to have a natural product without all the bad stuff, not even including water in our anti-aging products. And so we have been working on this for a while, and we've partnered with some amazing formulators, and then the idea came to us through an organization that said, do you realize that this is an opportunity to finally empower the home-based person, or the young entrepreneur, or the old entrepreneur, to be able to capitalize on the legal cannabis business? And that really sparked the chord with us. I mean, that made us get very excited, because we really wanted to empower folks about the value of CBD and the value of hemp. And to have a contract with an organization, I can't mention the name yet, but it's going to be out very, very soon. This organization is building everything around our product line, the Beauty Define line, the salad that's available, and even the ever-popular hemp vaporizer. These are exciting products, and these are products that are easily shared with others with pride, with confidence. And what we have found is that there isn't a demographic that doesn't want to have either better skin or, more relief in regards to, of how their movements are, their joints are. There's a lot of people out there that are trying to figure out how do they get CBD back in their system. Is it something that they even, think that is important for them? And the answer is yes, CBD is like vitamin C. You don't realize it, but it's real important for you. And here's different ways to get it inside your system and also topically outside your system. And why not do it in a sharing model where you can do it with word of mouth and have an opportunity to make a few dollars in this industry at the same time. So, yes, we are very excited about those product lines and bringing it to the home-based business arena.
Well, listeners, once again, we are speaking with CannaVest Corp and U.S. Hemp Oil's Vice President of Public Development, Christopher Boucher. Chris, thank you so much for your time here today at SmallCapVoice.com. We look forward to having you back on the show in the near future. Thanks, Chris.
I am so thankful for being on here, and I can't wait to get back and tell you how big our industrial hemp fields are.
Fantastic. Now, listeners, you also know we spoke with HempMedsPX's VP of Communication, Mr. Charles Vest. Charles, thank you so much for your time and your insight into these news releases. Thanks, Charles.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to hearing about those fields as well. That means more sales and more products.
That's terrific. I want to thank both our guests here today, and I want to thank you all for listening. For Christopher Boucher and Charles Vest, this is Stuart Smith saying thanks so much for listening.
SmallCapVoice.com, today's leader in investor relations, capital formation, and retail support, provides its clients with the highest level of service. Our audio interviews are disseminated to one of the largest opt-in audiences available today. How? We at SmallCapVoice.com believe in aligning and affiliating ourselves with other leaders within the investor relations community. By sharing resources, each affiliated firm is made that much stronger and each client is served that much better. Our focus is to identify and provide the very best financial services and solutions available to clients and their shareholders. For more information about our services, please call us at 512-267-2430 or visit us on the web at www.smallcapvoice.com.